You got some shows coming up next week in Hamilton and Toronto.
We've been on a extensive tour through Europe. We started in August. We've done a North American tour from September to October, and this is the second leg of the North American tour, and we're hitting the East Coast. We're hitting the Hamilton on the 22nd, and 23rd is London, 24th Toronto, and 2 shows, one in Detroit, and a matinee show on the 25th, and the evening show in Windsor on the 25th.
And those are all coming up next week, and that's in support of the new album that came out this year as well, right?
That's right. It's in support of Beyond the Pain Barrier on Cleopatra Records.
So I was watching the documentary, and at the end of it, you mentioned how this might have been the last kind of run with those festivals. What was the main motivation of coming forward and then releasing a brand new record?
I was thinking of getting out of the business at that time. That was 2009. Since then, I've done. I obviously decided not to, because I did quite a few festivals, even up to this year. The Pori Spear Festival, one of the biggest in the world in Pori, Finland, and we continue to keep rocking. And we've released numerous albums, reissues on Cleopatra Records, and also in 2015, Metal Avenger, which was a big one for us. And also, this is the continuation of Metal Avenger, the part 2 of the story, so to speak.
Oh, so it's a continuation.
Beyond the Pain Barrier. So we go to the Pain Barrier and beyond.
This album kicks ass. It's heavy. It's got a lot of balls to it.
Yeah,
we both are big fans of it now. What I want to ask about this album, it's a lot different from what you've done with your previous work. It's got more of a darker edge to it, a little bit more heavy metal riffs, traditional heavy metal riffs. And, like, is this a lot of influence from your new band members that you got? Or, like, are you listening to new influences to help that in the album?
I mean, I've always been into riff-driven anthem-type music, right? If you listen to all my albums, I'm very impressed with many of the bands that are out now. And I joined forces with a couple of young guys, songwriters. So we co-wrote this album, Ted Jedlecki and John Leibel, and we put together. I guess I'm the classic guy, right? I bring in the old stuff, and they bring in the influence of the bands of today.
It's really great that you're playing all these shows and coming out and doing that, which brings us to another question of ours: is the actual show.
Yeah,
we love that.
I think it's fantastic. The bending of the steel and the blowing up the water balloons. Do you still do any of the theatrics?
I say strength is in the music, right? When
Right.
I came out with Thor in 1973, and back then was the time where the bigger the show, the better the concert, right? You had quite a few acts like Alice Cooper, Kiss, David Bowie when he was Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, doing this bigger than life type show. So my thoughts were I wanted to do a big show. So at the time I was a bass player in a band called Man, and I decided I want to be a front man, and I was also a bodybuilder and utilized music as an intensive training tool to drive me into a frenzy and train harder to win titles. So I wanted to meld music and muscle, and so I wanted to bend steel in my teeth and be the superhuman guy on stage that could blow up hot water bottles with his lung power and smash bricks on his chest.
We love that. That's awesome.
I watched you do the water bottle thing, and honestly, it blew my mind because I didn't think it was possible, and then you did it over and over again.
Yeah. That blew my mind.
The thing is, I've blown up about 3,945 hot water bottles in my lifetime,
Jeez.
and I've destroyed maybe that many brain cells. So I have to be very careful these days doing that type of strength feat.
For the new guys, I want to touch on those guys too. What can we expect from these guys to see at the live show? What are these guys bringing to the table?
Well, John Leibel and Ted Jedlecki played much of the last tour and played over in Europe. And these guys are wicked players, very talented. I like to think that I only work with the most talented of musicians. And bringing Frank Soda back for these shows, also stipulates this guy is probably one of the greatest guitarists in the world. He's from Canada. He's a legendary guitarist, and I think people will be blown away when they see him play.
It's great. You're just building your army, just building it each year and making it bigger and better. That's great.
Yeah. Well, we have actually we're working on a movie right now that's being filmed as we tour, and it's called Return of the Thunderhawk, and it's the sequel to I Am Thor.
Regarding the documentary, how did that process come about? Was it just a conscious decision to say, hey, let's have a film crew follow us and start putting together a documentary? How did it come about?
I actually have been approached numerous times about doing a documentary, but various film producers. Not everybody could complete the documentary, though. It's sort of like they follow me for a while and they're so exhausted they say, I'm out of here. I can't take this anymore. If you've ever been on a Thor tour, you can appreciate that. In the early, late 1999, I was pushing my new album at the time called Dogs 2, and I played in Seattle, and two young filmmakers. They were young at the time, now they're old guys. It took. They said, hey, they saw the show, they were blown away. They said, we want to do a documentary. I said, okay, let's try and do it then. And they followed me everywhere I went, pretty much. And it took about 15 years to do this documentary and do the principal filmmaking. And lo and behold, out came I Am Thor. So it's won numerous awards. It's done very well. It's on Netflix right now. Netflix is quite a phenomenon in itself, and it's brought us more to the mainstream, I think, than ever before.
Absolutely opens up your door for a new audience.
Yeah, we both watched it, and it's a good documentary. Yeah, we both really liked it. And at this stage in your life, what gives that motivation to keep going? Because now I want to know this. When I get that age, how can I just keep on rocking and keep having that motivation?
I think really it's the fans, right? You get energy from the fans if they're rooting you on and cheering for you, and they know all the songs and are singing along with you. It's motivation to keep on going. That's one of the biggest excitement, I think, for me. And you see other artists these days they could be in their 70s, like McCartney's 76. He does a 3-hour show. Schwarzenegger still, he's getting ready for another Terminator movie at 71 years old. It's not the Middle Ages anymore, where guys die at 30 years old. People can keep on rocking till they're a centurion.
We hope you're still rocking, though, in the future for sure, because we definitely want to see you more than once, for sure, because this is going to be our first time seeing you. We'll be coming around, and it'll be a first for a lot of other people too in this area too, seeing you for the first time. So I got to ask, will you be coming around more probably in the future? Any plans in the future to come around again?
Yeah. I find that really interesting that you guys will see me for the first time. I'm still out there touring you guys from a new generation. We were doing it back in 1976 there in your area. What's that, 41 years ago? Well, probably you guys aren't even close to 41 years old.
Probably about half of that.
Or 20 or something.
Yeah, we're early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like. It's very interesting to see how you'll like the show and the music. And now I promise you, we'll give you everything we got.
Newer bands such as bands like Am Thor, they're taking that style that I saw you do in very early footage. You doing like fighting on stage with like the villains and such. And bands like Am Thor have big like battle scenes, like Viking battle scenes on stage. How does that make you feel, thinking that you were probably one of the originators of that?
Of course. We were, let's face it, nobody was doing that in 1973. The younger bands playing what I call heroic metal and singing about, the Norse mythology or Greek mythology. I think it's quite fascinating to me, because we were I would say the first ones to do it back in those days.
Absolutely. That's very popular. That's a very popular genre right now. All right, so we don't want to take too much more of your time already. Is there anything else that you would like to say to the listeners, maybe about your new music or about the shows coming up?
I just want to say I look forward to meeting each and every one, the listeners who are listening to the show, and I promise an incredible show and some powerful music and I look forward to singing along. And one more thing is never give up. Laugh back at the laughers, kick back at the kickers. Believe in your dreams and keep on moving forward.
The legendary Thor. Thank you very much for talking with us. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. And I extend a handshake across the miles. Great talking to you.